Make Media. You know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thanks. We got lots of stuff coming up. In the Sleepy State with your Lakes Media, and I'm here with. Introduce yourself, sir.
Matt Stevens, yeah, at the cycle show in beautiful Alexander Palace, yeah.
The reason why I actually say Matt, I remember Matt, and I was like thinking Walsh for some reason, and I didn't want to mess it up. So I'm here with Matt Stevens, and we're at the Alexander Palace bike show, UK's largest bike show. And first thing I want to say is that I approached Matt, and I said, "Can I get a sit down?" And it's like, "Sure, cool." And I'm just wondering, will I get like the same type of like when I'm in Europe next year talking to the riders? Will it be the same type of?
It's a hard one because the riders, if you do go to Europe next year and you're on race day, it's hard that they're very much in demand.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll be probably at the finish. After the finish is easier than before the start, quite often. And increasingly, riders are protected by their press officers a lot, and a lot of them, especially in the Grand Tours, like to stay in the team bus for as long as possible.
Yeah.
So, but you still can do it, and also, but you just need to make sure you get your right accreditation and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you can get in the mix, and sometimes a good idea is to start with some of the smaller teams because you'll get better access, and then gradually work your way up.
Yeah.
That would be a tip I was going to use. But I think cycling is still enormously democratic. It's very easy to get access compared to other elite sports like football, for example, Formula One. You get nowhere near the players or the. But in elite cycling, you can. But yeah, and the girod'italia is a good one because it's the access there is a lot easier to speak to riders.
It seems a little more open. Yeah.
And also the starts are a good place as well because there's far less segregation. But at the finish of a Tour de France stage, they're segregated quite a lot and taken away immediately, so it's a little bit harder, but you'll still get some good conversations.
How long did your race career go?
It was my race career was a strange one because I was an amateur. I started racing in 1987, and then as a 17-year-old, then I raced all the way till I was 41. So quite a long time. But in between all that, I had different jobs. I had 12 years in the police force, for example, 12 years as a police officer, 2001 to 2013 before I did my commentary. Then the equivalent of World Tour I did in 1999, 2000. So only a couple of years at the top level, but then before that I've done the Olympics and 7 times World Championships, and British champion, Commonwealth Games. So, but yeah, I raced actually in the 80s, the 90s, the noughties and the 10s. I raced in 4 decades. Okay. So I've been around a lot.
Did you go to the 98 Commonwealth Games?
Yes.
Oh, I was in the back.
Oh right. Yeah, in Kuala Lumpur. Yeah.
Yeah, Kuala Lumpur. Yeah, that was pretty amazing. I got treated like just differently because like everywhere I got told, everyone wanted to take a picture with me because of my height.
Oh well, there we go. We were in the same race together. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he was a. But I have a sort of a love-hate story about that. But that's just my association. But I definitely enjoyed the moment and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, so what teams did you like? What pro teams did you race for?
Raced for the amateur team, ACBB, which is where Stephen Roach and Sean Yates rode for as amateurs. Then I raced for Linda Harrods. They had a team. So Harrods had a team, weirdly. That's when I was British champion. I raced for Linda McCartney.
Okay.
When I rode the girod'italia, which was a team sponsored by Linda McCartney Vegetarian Foods. They don't exist anymore, the pro team doesn't. And then for the final 10 years when I was back with a job, I managed and I raced for the Sigma Sports team. Okay. They had a continental team that rode the Tour of Britain, and I was like managing the team and racing, and that was while I was in there working as well. So several different teams, different countries, and I've raced on all pretty much those continents. Yeah.
So, no personal question: are you a dad or are you?
I'm a dad, but my lad is 22. And actually, the other week, we were here watching a gig. We came to see King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard here. So my lad's a musician.
Okay.
And he's at university studying films in Salford in Manchester. So I'm a dad, but he's a bloke.
So no interest in cycling?
No, he follows what I do, but he doesn't. He's into skateboarding.
Okay, that's why I was asking to see the whole spring follow. Because my daughter, she's 22, and while I was living with her, she was like, if I went riding, she wanted to go ride. But then once we separated, then it just stopped. And I'm sort of happy that she didn't because I don't like that life. the life is really hard.
It's hard.
So, you know,
It's
that's
hard.
that's why I didn't push her to it. Like,
I think it's a sport that
you have
you can give them the tools to make a decision themselves.
Yeah.
You know, here's a bike, but I would never really push anybody because, as you and I will know, there's a lot of lows, it's a few highs, but strangely it's still beautiful. But yeah, you have to be 100% in, don't you?
Yeah, that's
otherwise it's just too much. It's just not worth it. Yeah.
You have to definitely love what you're doing. You're giving so much. You give so much. But I think there's 2 more questions I had. So with the pro teams, a very personal question. So GCN.
Yes.
Is GCN or Eurosport?
So basically, GCN, Global Cycling Network, was a YouTube channel started in start of 2013, and I joined those guys in the summer of 2013. My first assignment was the Vuelta, Tour of Spain. I worked for them a couple of days a week as the channel evolved, and the channel was founded by a couple of guys who saw that at that particular time there was no real video content for cycling.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like an eternity ago. It's only 10 years.
Yeah.
So much has changed, you know. There was no video channel on YouTube, nobody making digital content around cycling. And I was just thinking of a career change anyway, leaving the police and going into commentating and events and stuff. And I thought, well, this sounds like an interesting project. So joined Dan Lloyd on the ground, and me and him were already friends anyway. And then that channel, I did more and more work to the point I was employed by them. And then at the same time, I was working for Eurosport. Now, there were 2 completely separate companies at that point. And then in about 2018, Discovery bought Eurosport, and then essentially bought GCN, so they're now all in.
Okay.
So so they share information basically. So Eurosport has the best portfolio of races, and GCN has the best YouTube channel. So they thought, well, media is converging, so just bring the 2 together.
Definitely.
In a nutshell, that's what's happened. And now Warner Brothers has merged with Discovery, so now we're basically owned by Warner Brothers now.
Okay.
So that's what it is.
It's weird because for some reason I was thinking like GCN was still separate from Eurosport. I didn't know that.
It is and it isn't. So it's got they've got their own staff, and Eurosport's got their own staff. But when it comes to road cycling, they join up. I mean, I don't know all the details on it because I don't work for them I don't work for GCN anymore. But I'm a freelancer for Eurosport. But then I end up on GCN as well. Yeah. So it's quite complicated.
Yeah, it works.
But it worked, and I'm back working with the team again, and it's great fun. And I get to go on the Tour de France, and you know.
So that's what I was going to ask you. What are you going to be on the tour this year in Italy?
Yeah. So next on the menu for me at the time of doing this, Tuesday I'm going down to Bath, where the GCN headquarters are, and I'm going to be commentating on the Tour de Romandie.
Okay.
That's a 7-day race in Switzerland. Then I come home for a few days. Then I go to the Giro, where I work there for RCS.
So you'll be at the Giro?
At the Giro, on the ground,
okay.
But not working for Eurosport, working for RCS, which are the organisers, the equivalent of ASO, you know, own the tour.
Yeah.
RCS own the Giro.
Okay.
So I work for those guys, and my voice and Ned Bolting's voice, who are the 2 commentators, goes out to North America, to Canada, South America, Australia, New Zealand, Asia, and South Africa as well. Whereas Eurosport will primarily here in Europe. So then I come back, a couple of other events, then I go to the tour for Eurosport, but I won't be commentating, I'll be interviewing.
Oh, you interview, that's
And then I do the Women's Tour de France off the back of that, so I'm doing a whole month.
How many
That's
days?
8 days.
8 days.
So I do the men's race, then I do straight to the women's race.
You got to do me one favor. If Aisha McGowan or Tanel Campbell's here, you got to just go get just a brief talk and just say hello to them. Because it's more or less for the people in the Caribbean.
Yeah, of course.
You,
I think they're firstly they're great people.
Yeah.
But they're important riders.
Yeah.
In many senses. They're trailblazers, as you know.
Yeah.
So I'll do that.
Because you got tons of people in the Caribbean that even though they know that she's not gonna win or whatever, but they just wanna just say hello. And if you do that, you will gain so many fans. People will just you'll be their number one. I mean, it's just that acknowledgement that they're there. It don't have to be no superstar thing. Just, hey, Tanel, come talk to me. How was your day? And,
I think I probably will, because she's a popular character. I know the Green Edge, what are they called now? J.Co. Lula team pretty well, the management there. So, and I'm really, because I've done commentating in women's races a fair bit, but I've never been on the it's a new race, but I've never been on the ground at women's race before. So I'm really looking forward to it. So I will be definitely speaking to as many people as I can, including her. So yeah, I'll do that. No worries.
And your favorite rider for this year? You can't say too much.
Oh.
No, you can say Pogacar.
No, to win it, I mean, yeah, I'm going to be really boring. I mean, Vingegaard's looking good, but my only fear for Pogacar is will he...
I've not done too much.
Maybe he's done too much. But I think he's just so great for the sport. He's just wanting to get out there and race, and I think even though he's almost superhuman, he's also inspiring at the same time because he wants to just try different things and he's unafraid to lose, I think. So takes risks. So I think he will have learned a lot of lessons from last year's tour, I think, from being a little bit maybe too flamboyant. Don't dial your character back, but just maybe think a bit smarter.
That's what he did this year.
Yeah.
On Wednesday.
Yeah. Everybody thought he was going to go long, and he...
Yeah, he was really smart.
Yeah.
And so I'm just thinking about Pogacar, just thinking like, yeah, he's like, people probably think he's going to be overtrained, but I think it's quite a gap between now and the tour. It's plenty of time to rest, and he's just going to be flying.
He's not. Yeah, I think he's doing Liège, and then he's going to a training camp, and then he might be doing the Tour of Slovenia National Championships, I think. So between Liège and the Tour, it's mostly training camps and one stage race, I think. Maybe I'm not sure doing the Dauphiné even.
I was a bit concerned about Vingegaard's like build up. It just seems like I'm a bit worried. Like he's not going to be competitive. I just like everyone's hoping that he can defend his title, but my personal opinion, I don't think he's going to be able to match Pogacar. Pogacar is just like, it was almost like he's happy, angry. He's happy to beat him.
Happy, angry, good words, good 2 words.
He's like, he's not like malicious or anything. He's gonna smile and shake your hand, but like he's gonna like, I'm gonna kick your ass.
I'm gonna kick your ass and shake your hand.
So, but I mean, that's just my 2 cents.
No, I think it's a very valid point. Definitely. So we shall see, but it's going to be exciting. Can't wait.
Definitely. Thank you very much. I definitely appreciate that.
No worries. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Hopefully, I get it up and you see it and tell people to go to my channel.
We'll tag me in there. We'll see what we can do.
All right. Seven Year Leg Media. You know what to do. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks. We got lots of stuff coming up.